I just want to ask each of you, maybe we can go in a quick circle. How is your screenwriting coming along? Are you guys doing well? Are you struggling at the moment? And basically, what things could maybe we can do to basically help you guys in any way at all?
Well, I've written mine, and
Oh yeah,
I've
you
put it
have,
on the
haven't you?
community. So I've got another project to get on with now. I've done 10 pages, and I've still got. There's a few things I don't like about. I don't like the dialogue for this morning scene. It's got nothing to do with the story. It's just banter between the mum, the dad, the daughter. But
Right.
I've still got to chew on it, and I haven't really touched the laptop since I told you I wrote the 10 pages.
Oh yeah.
I'm just going to have a little bit of a break from it for now, and then I'll get back on my horse when ready. I think I've just burnt myself out a bit doing Lavelle. I'm taking a bit of a breeze at the moment, and I'll get back on it. The hunger will come back, and I'll chew back on it. But sometimes I like to listen to music that helps us visualize things. Sometimes classic, sometimes the 80s music, just to keep us
Yeah, that's
focused.
good. That's what I do as well. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, John is joining. Awesome. Yeah, so shall I write dialogue down, John, as something you wanted to work on? Dialogue, you said you were needing to practice on?
Dialogue and action lines.
Action
It was
lines.
mostly
Okay.
the action lines that I wasn't really, because you saw the way I wrote last time, and it
Yeah.
was a bit. I think it was because I was trying to remember a lot what the old writers were telling us, and what the old writing group was telling us. You had to write your location, you had to describe your characters, you had to do this, you had to do, and people are saying, no, you don't do all that. You just write what's on the screen.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you watched the pagecraft that we did with Jordan? Jordan Moss. Did you watch the recordings?
Yes,
Yeah. Did that help?
I got some idea, but I mean, I've been looking at I was looking at some scripts as I write just to keep it also on track, and one of them was Twin Peaks, which I ended up
Oh, I love
writing
Twin Peaks.
buying the box set. So I start, and it was beautifully written. It was just the lines just followed each other all the way down. I thought that's brilliant.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, let me write this down. Awesome. Um, yeah, no, that's great. Okay, who wants to go next? We're just quickly talking about how our writing's coming along at the moment, just so I can hear some ideas of what we might need to work on more for the community. Does anyone want to go next? Just a quick update about how your progress has been coming along.
I'll go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Hi to everyone that just came here. I'm so happy to see all of you. I'm working on my new short. I'm pretty busy with it, but I'm like busy writing with not writing it, just so in my head. I'm just having a bit problem to put it in words, but I'm working on it. I don't like to start writing at the moment. I love to plan out everything,
Mm-hmm.
do the process, from like the concept to logline to synopsis to treatment, outline everything, and also my main objection here is the new short that I want to write.
Okay.
Something that me and Jordan we talked about a lot in one of my posts in character, and yeah, this is what I've been working on. I've been doing a lot of practice things as I talked to you all about, like reading screenplays. I love the Ultimatum Born. I just finished it. I just love the pagecraft.
Yeah.
I worked on some dialogues with Martin McDonough, Lonesome West. I've been trying to work on it. I've been transcribing some parts of the love from the script, and then I try to rewrite the dialogues based on my own life and like the people I know.
Yeah.
But mostly my most problem for past couple of weeks it would be that I just a bit hard for me to write right now. So yeah, I'm doing some things to overcome that. That's
Yeah.
like the whole thing. Yeah.
Okay, fair
And
enough.
yeah, I got an honorable mention from Big Apple screenplay competition on my previous short screenplay. It's my second selection. Yeah,
That's
something
brilliant.
good. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, well done, Syed. That's
No,
really
no,
good.
don't I?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, you're doing really, really well, Syed. And you
Thank you
mentioned
so much.
you read the Born Ultimatum
Yes.
script. Was it
Yeah,
that one?
yeah.
So maybe for you, John, maybe that could be a good script for you to read if you wanted to work on action lines. Would you say
Mhm.
that, sorry, that would be a good one to read?
Yes, exactly. It just was exactly how Jordan described it. It's like we have an expression in Farsi. We say "hulu burtu galu." It was so easy. It was like surfing beneath the lines. Like
Mhm.
that was amazing. So actually, I have a plan to read the Aliens.
Mhm.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, like, yeah, because I feel like I've been like open up to a new kind of a skill in the screenwriting that I've been oblivious about. So this is
Mm,
this is really a good thing because I feel like I just introduced to a new level of a screenwriting.
mm,
Mhm.
yeah. I feel the same because I read the screenplay to Alien for the first
Yeah,
time recently, and it's just changed everything about what a good screenplay is actually about.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
for, for everyone here listening, if you haven't read the screenplay to Alien, the page craft in that is really good. Like
Mhm.
it's so minimal, it's so concise to the point, but in a way that you can still see the movie in your head as you read it.
Mhm.
Um,
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
exactly, yeah.
Someone sent me a link on the community thing for us.
Oh yeah,
Somebody sent us.
yeah, I think I did
For the
maybe.
screenplay,
Yeah, aliens. This.
yeah. I have both of them. I can put them. I would make a post on the community. It's okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you can learn so much by reading screenplays. Honestly. Yeah. And it's all accessible. You can get it all online, most of them, can't you? You can find it all online.
Yeah. It's like different websites. They give them for free. There is one. And you know what? I'm gonna make a post and I'm gonna list all the websites that I've known to give you free screenplays. Even series. You can find like the
Mhm.
whole Rick and Morty, Breaking
Oh yeah.
Bad. Like different screenplays. You can find them all on internet. But the
Mhm.
thing is that they are shooting scripts. Something that yeah,
There's a
Jordan
difference.
can yeah Jordan can talk about that. It's a bit different from for example the ending a screenplay of a screenwriter. The shooting a script is a bit different, but at the end it works for us, I believe.
Yes, 100%. Yes, Scrib Slugs. Yes, Veronica, that's a good point. And yeah, thank you, Jordan, for putting the link in. Um, yeah, no, absolutely. So for everyone who's just joined in the last few minutes, I was just asking everyone how's our writing progress been recently, and if there's anything we can do to basically help with whatever you're struggling with at the moment. So that's what we're talking about. And then I've got a couple of questions I wanted to ask you guys to get your opinion on the community. So we'll do that in a minute. Um, so yeah, thank you everyone for joining. Does anyone else want to quickly talk about their writing progress, if it's going well or if anyone's struggling at the moment? Because I've been a little bit unmotivated recently. Yeah, does anyone want to talk or?
Like I say, I've completely. Well, I've finished one project. Now I'm on the second one, but the second one's more, like I've said before, it's a fantasy, so it's sort of hard to write it. At the moment, I feel fried, but that's probably through life, so I know when to leave it alone and go back to it once I'm ready, sort of thing.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't like going through the phases, but you've just got to let them happen, and then
yeah.
you get that urge to go, come on, do it. It's not going to write itself.
Mm, mm, yeah. Yeah, no, I've never written a fantasy before. But what I wanted to do, so basically, I've made a post. You guys probably have seen that I'm going to start a screenwriting challenge from the 1st of May, and so every month I'm going to be giving you guys 3 prompts, and you have to write a screenplay within 10 pages, and you have to use those 3 prompts for each month. So each month there'll be a new set of 3 prompts. So I feel like that might be a really cool way to keep us motivated and to maybe connect with each other a bit more so we can motivate each other, give each other advice, because if we're all working on the same challenge, maybe that's a good incentive to write a bit more, work together a bit more. I just thought it'd be a fun idea.
Mhm.
So yeah, that'll be starting on the 1st of May, so maybe that can help us, especially for me because I've not been very motivated recently. But I was going to ask you guys, should it Should the challenge be like a monthly challenge? Do you guys think this would be a good thing for you guys to do? Do you think it's going to be helpful for you to do? Or maybe we should do it like every week or every 2 weeks? It's to write anything from 1 page to 10 pages. So I don't know if you guys had any opinions on that. Do you think that's a good idea? Do you think that would help you guys?
Well, yeah, I suppose it would. Wouldn't it? Then you'd be able to see where people's weak spots are. Do you
Yeah.
think?
Yeah, exactly. No, exactly. Yeah, that's what I think would be really good. Yeah, so Veronica and Mustafa, nice to see you guys. Thanks for coming. How are you guys coming along with your screenwriting? Are you guys working a lot, or have you not really been thinking about it too much recently? You can use if you want, if you don't have a mic, you can type as well. And Todd, how have you getting on as well, Todd? Because last time we spoke, Todd, that was a couple of weeks ago with your progress. How has that been coming along?
Actually, it's coming along pretty good.
Yeah.
My due date was it's supposed to be due on the 30th. I got an extension to May 12th, but I
Okay.
don't think I will need that much time to do it. I was a little busy with my day job last week, so I didn't get as much done as I wanted, but I did make progress. I made some good progress yesterday, and I hope to finish it this week so I can clean it up the following week and then turn it in before the 12th. And it's a for those that don't know, I'm adapting a Japanese sci-fi horror novel into a TV show, and I'm not at the script stage yet or anything. This is just my pitch for this this project. Yeah. And it's for I'm writing it for these producers, so they will then translate it and give it to the author of the book to get his approval, and we'll see how it goes. And actually, I just got hired to write a new horror script as well, so I will hopefully get the agreement and all of that this coming week. Notes from the producer. I wrote a treatment that he liked, and then I hope to I will roll right into that after I finish this TV thing.
Wow, that's impressive. That sounds really cool.
Thank you, Todd.
Thank you.
Bravo.
Yeah, and you love horror, don't you? I remember you as like the horror guy. You really like horror films.
I'm mainly a horror guy. Yes, yeah, but I also write action, history, and drama as well. But horror is I love horror. Yes, I'm very passionate about it.
It's very hard to write.
Yeah.
I was always told horror and comedy was the hardest to write.
For me, it was the easiest because drama was always the hardest for me, because that's real life. Like I can make up whatever I want in my mind for horror and that kind of stuff. So for me, it's always been easier because then I can just let my imagination run wild.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with that because if I try to write something that is set in my hometown, I feel like I can't be very creative. It has to be too real, and then that makes it boring. Whereas if I write something set in a different place, in a different country, or in some kind of alternate universe, I feel like I can get away with doing so much more cool stuff. So drama as well, I feel like drama alone, I feel restricted by that genre. But horror or like psychological thrillers, I love that stuff. That's kind of the stuff that I like to write. So kind of similar, maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, I feel exactly the same. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's great. Some of my favorite films are kind of the more crazy films, Tarantino films, or someone like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
I like some of John Carpenter's.
John Carpenter,
movies.
yeah.
He's my main influence. He's the reason why I want to make movies. Is John Carpenter? Absolutely.
Oh, really? Yeah. Have you got a favorite film of his?
Definitely, The Thing is it's probably my all-time favorite film. But
yes.
Halloween is the one that made me want to make movies.
I think Halloween's good. I appreciate it, but I feel like it's a little bit dated.
Oh, for sure.
But
I mean, yes, definitely.
Yeah.
But at the time, it was very innovative. Even in the cinematography, the camera work, the Panaglide that he used, like that opening shot, just one shot. It's great. And it's a very masterfully made film. And his collaborations with Dean Cundey, DP, I think, are his best work.
He's one of those filmmakers that just so exciting. I just think he's just a master at that kind of genre. He didn't really do other genres though, did he? John Carpenter.
He actually
Or did
did a TV movie with Kurt Russell, Elvis. He did an Elvis
Oh.
biopic,
Yeah.
and
Oh.
he loves westerns, and I know that's like a lot of his films are kind of pseudo westerns, like Assault on Precinct 13 and Ghost of Mars. They're actually westerns. Yeah, he's mainly a genre guy, I think.
Quite like the Fog. That was quite good.
Oh, loved it too. Absolutely, the mood, atmosphere
Yeah.
in it,
Didn't like the remake, but the original is brilliant.
definitely.
Yeah. Was that from the 80s, The Fog? Isn't it an 80s film? Or
1980,
90s?
actually, yes.
Okay, 1980. Yeah. No, he's a great filmmaker. I feel like he's underrated. Maybe not enough people talk about him so much now, but he was great.
Nowadays, yes. In the 70s and 80s, he was the man for horror, but definitely his later films are, not as good. And now he kind of just he puts out soundtracks. He makes up, these called lost themes, and so he makes his music with his son, actually.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I like to work in genre as well. So I think that's a really good way to. I think Jordan Morris said this as well about like you want to think about if you want to package yourself and make money from this, you need to kind of package yourself in a genre. So you should study that genre and know exactly what people want from that genre, so you can tick the boxes when you're writing in that genre, if that makes sense. You should know that the genre that you're working in, you should know it inside out. So for you, John, if you're doing fantasy, you should watch lots of films. I don't know if you have some favorite fantasy films that's been inspiring you recently, or
No, there's only one thing that came into my head for the beginning part, and probably the character Destiny, and that was Sabrina the Teenage Witch, the movie.
I've not seen it.
She didn't realize she was a witch at the beginning,
Okay.
and that's the way I kind of went along with it and thought that might make an interesting scenario. But
Okay.
I think it was still. I'm trying to think who played Sabrina the Teenage Witch. I can't remember her name. I think she's in the movie.
Has anyone else seen this? I'm not sure, to be honest.
From the 90s, I think.
Yeah, Jordan.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just using that as like a what do you call it? A mold.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what they call a low fantasy. And if anybody's not familiar with those terms, the difference between a low fantasy and a high fantasy is Lord of the Rings would be a high fantasy where everything is completely different from our own worlds, and a low fantasy is like Harry Potter where there are fantastic elements in our world. Yeah, and each of those subgenres kind of have their own attributes as well. So it really does pay off to become kind of an expert in and a specialist in a genre, at least when you get started. When if you break out and you become a real draw and people want to work with you, then you get to go wherever you want to, basically. But until then, specializing can help so that people can understand what it is that you do better than everybody else. That kind of thing.
Yeah. No, thanks, Jordan.
I'd probably say in my head, it's probably more supernatural fantasy, like the TV show. But it's about Father Time, Mother Nature, and that living in a modern day family, and the daughter Destiny doesn't know they've got powers and that, and she's starting to get powers herself and not really understanding it.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
that's the way I'm going. Got a challenge for us to do.
Yeah. It's good. It's good to try out in these different genres and to see, challenge yourself, see how it goes. Maybe
It's already written out on my old laptop. I've just got to rewrite and make it sound better than edit, pitch it, tweak that dialogues. But I reckon if it was done properly, it might be interesting for a TV pilot.
Okay. Yeah.
I'd rather do TV because I remember thinking to myself, if you want to do a movie, you've got to get it right the first time. TV can grow better as it goes along. You've got more chance.
Else? So yeah, who else here wants to write in TV or ever thought about doing that, like TV series or like TV movies? Veronica, yeah. Todd, obviously, yeah. I've never considered it, to be honest. I feel like it's more of a challenge because you've got a bigger time frame to tell a story, which it's a good thing, but also it's a challenge as well because you've got to fill the time. But then it gives you more room to explore characters more, I'm guessing. Fantasy script. Oh, nice. I started that makes more sense. So Veronica, did you start writing that script and then as you were writing realize, oh, this will be better for TV as you were writing it? Because that I can imagine that, yeah, I can imagine that can happen actually. Because sometimes you could start writing and you're not sure where it's going to go, and then eventually, actually, this is probably better for TV. Oh, okay, that's interesting. But so your professor thinks it's better for TV as well. Yeah, that's fair enough. That's cool. For about 2 hours for TV, yeah, for many episodes. Yeah, Maureen, I agree with you. I think it's too difficult writing TV because you got to keep them engaged for longer. Whereas I like to watch. In fact, I don't watch much TV, but I like to watch something that's beginning to end all in one sitting. So that's probably why I prefer that. But TV, I mean, if you work in TV, the industry in the TV series is growing, isn't it? More and more people watch TV series. There's more money in it now. Yeah, months ago.
Well,
Yeah.
that's not. I don't know if that's actually the case at the moment. There's a major collapse happening, like a
Oh, is there?
contraction going on. And although they declared victory after the strikes, there's a lot less money being spent right now. And on the subject, not that I want to bring everybody down, but it's tough in television as well. And they're both really, really hard. If one seems easier for you than the other, just to get your head around, then go in that direction for sure. But
Yeah.
make no mistake, each of them have really, really difficult challenges that are kind of unique. You know, I guess the most basic would be that with a film, you're dealing with a closed-ended, complete story. And with TV, you've got multiple storylines happening that are all kind of played open-ended so that it can keep going. And over there, you need what they call a story engine to work really, really effectively at the center of your concept. Todd probably knows what I'm talking about. The greats in that industry will talk about, if you've got a great concept for television, it means that you've got what they refer to as an engine at the center of the concept that you can draw 100 episodes out of without batting an eye. And until when people are looking for new shows, they're looking for that kind of central idea. And it's the source of whatever the genre is. So it's the source of all your comedy in your comedy. It's the source of all your horror in your horror. And it's just like a bottomless well that you can draw on. Because sometimes people will start writing a series and they'll get one episode out and they'll go, well, now where do I go? Because they never really had that element. They just had a cool situation in mind, but there was nowhere to go after they got 1 or 2, 3 episodes out. It just kind of runs out of steam. So I have a great deal of respect for both disciplines because they're very, very different animals. Because it's also extremely difficult to tell a really cohesive, impactful story in only 2 hours. Like that's really, really difficult. You've got to distill everything down into perfect. Whereas somebody over here might think, oh, they got so much room over there. It's so much easier. No. They're not. Neither of them are easy. They're just very, very different. But yeah, go wherever your instincts take you.
You know, if you get the script and you write the script for TV, say you get there, you're lucky enough to get there. Can you stay with creativity with them, or do you have to sell it and go, oh, there you go, it's yours now?
It depends on who you're dealing with. Most often, if you're really, really new, the best you could hope for would be to be brought in as kind of one of the writers. There would probably be a showrunner and head writers. They would never give a show to somebody that's absolutely brand new or that's extremely rare. You know, like Fleabag, she was pretty green at that point and came in just like a bomb went off and everybody just loved what she had and they gave her a shot at creating that. But she'd worked that concept out. I guess you folks would know on that side of the water more about her history than I do, but apparently she did a lot of, you know, live theater and really, really ironed that concept out. Similar to what Baby Reindeer did. He was also a fringe show for a long time before getting his show. So Europe has a real advantage in that you're still committed to live theater, and it is just cratering over here in North America since COVID hit. Live theater is really, really hurting. But I love the fact that over there in Europe, the live theater is still a really important development tool for a lot of new voices, like where they're shaking out their kind of stories and their personal narrative voice as well, which is really, really awesome. But and just to speak to the idea that you've got a chance to kind of grow your concept and have it get stronger as you go through the season. I want to say that television isn't my world, but I know a lot of people over there, and they'll all say the same thing. If your pilot isn't absolutely killer, packed with all of the best ingredients of your entire concept, it won't go either.
Mhm.
You cannot wait to kind of figure it out and find its legs halfway through the season. Episode 1 better just blow everybody's hat off. There's no chance if it's not 100% effective right from the get-go. So don't do yourself the disservice of thinking you've got time to sort it out. You don't.
Mm.
You got to hit the ground running right away.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Mm.
Yeah, I was just thinking about Enchanter. I was reading. I write fantasy, but it's more like Twilight Zone, because you've been writing a lot of. You've got like on like episode 43, haven't you? And I was just wondering, maybe for your first episode, you basically have to cram everything in there to hook everyone in, obviously, to keep them going. Yeah, that's a really good point. Do you think writers are more in control in TV series, like they're the author, the writer, because I look at, I think TV writers more, I know the writers more than the directors in TV series, I think, whereas in film it's the other way around. Would you say would you guys agree with that?
I
Yeah,
think that's fair. I think that's a fair assumption. Yeah, TV is the state of the industry is not great, but where television is in history right now is really, really exciting, generally speaking, because there's some really fantastic stuff out there, and strong, independent, unusual, kind of unique stories are being told over there, like Fleabag, like Baby Reindeer. Like there's tons of shows that would scare the hell out of film producers. They wouldn't want to take a chance on something so original and unique. But TV, you can do some interesting things with the films. Man, it's harder to get people comfortable with your concepts because everyone is so scared of failure over there. But there seems to be more of an opportunity to bend the rules a little bit and do something a little more unique in television right now. And it's exciting to watch other companies kind of come into the TV space, like A24 is now doing television, which is awesome.
yeah.
I just hope they don't get too big and start suffering from all the same ailments that the big studios do. But right now they're really, really cool, and they're willing to take chances, which is really exciting.
Yeah, it is. We need more companies that are like A24 that are taking chances, because they're one of the few out there that seems to be doing it well, I think. So maybe like doing theatre or something where you can show off your voice and your ability first. Because I think Fleabag was a play before it became a series. I think it's been running on the West End recently, I think, Fleabag. So I don't know if it was originally in theatre before it was a TV series, but yeah, she was an actor as well for years, I think, before she got that made. So that's probably how she got people to trust her. Yeah, no, it's interesting.
Lots
it's really
of great
interesting.
stories like that. Those stories just don't happen in North America. We don't have the means to be able to do it because we don't have, for whatever reason, we fell out of love with live theater, with the exception of Broadway and a couple of the really, really high profile areas. LA has a live theater scene that's really active, but the one in my hometown, around the year 2000, I entered the live theater scene in my hometown, and there was 50 or 60 productions every year. Like, it was really, really active. And right now, I'm not exaggerating, it's almost dead. There's maybe a half a dozen productions every year. And the contraction in the performance spaces, they've all been filled in with something else now. It's really, really heartbreaking. So the young people coming up right now don't realize anything's different. But when I look over at that space right now, it breaks my heart.
Yeah.
So I'm a huge fan of all those stories that come out of England and other parts of Europe. I was a massive, crazy fan for The Mighty Boosh. I loved the fact that you could see its theater roots, how silly and wonderful that show is live as well. That's the TV series. Yeah, and I wish we had more options over here to help people cut their teeth and prove themselves. I don't want to hijack this conversation, but I think it's really, really important to point out that some people are describing the state of the industry right now as post-industry, as though the industry has already collapsed and they're just not talking about it openly. And that it's more important perhaps now than ever before for writers and creatives and storytellers of all kinds to start creating their own audience now. Like, figure out what it is that you're going to do to share your stories with people, and start developing that muscle right now, whether it's podcasting, whether it's shorts, whether it's, like whatever it is, puppet show, it doesn't matter. Prove that you're a great storyteller, and start assembling an audience of people that's interested in your work, so that when you get a shot and moving up to the next tier, you can leverage the fact that you've got a group of followers already to help people feel safe about spending money on you and taking a chance on you. Just like they do when they're like, it's the same thing where they want all these IPs, right? Like, the industry is afraid of failure, so they go and they buy the rights to books that have a huge audience built into them, because that's a safe bet. So as close as you can get to that with your own work, directly, blog, it doesn't matter whether you're like a self-published novelist. Find whatever your kind of platform is and start crushing it over there, and figure out what it is that you do better than anybody else. And when you've got an audience, then I imagine, I'm confident at some point in the future that will become a massive advantage over everybody else. And you'll be able to transition into TV or film, and whatever that state is at that point, because you've already proven yourself. You've got the ability to mobilize people to hold their attention. The most extreme case right now is Taylor Swift, right? Like, she just dropped 2 albums, and at 3 o'clock in the morning broke records like within an hour, right? She's got a massive audience. And as soon as she does anything, people follow her and they act.
Yeah.
They spend their money immediately. And to whatever degree you can do that, do it.
Yeah, 100%. Even if the material is bad, she's guaranteed to make money, because people will buy her albums, her music, because it's her name. So that's the place where you want to be eventually in the long run. You want followers, you want people to just see your name and they know what they're going to get from it. And then from that, it's less of a risk, isn't it? For people,
you're never going to hold zombies. Like the people that you just described there that buy it just because it's her. She could probably get away with 1 or 2 that are flat, but her fans will tell you that none of them are, of course. But you're going to be forced to distill your skills and make them work. And if you can't, then they'll wander off.
Yeah.
So she's earned, whatever you think about her and her music, she has earned that kind of following. And you do the same. It's going to take time. It's going to start really small. Don't try to push it, because you can't rush it. Just start sharing your best work through whatever platform you can, in whatever form it can, and start proving to people that you can entertain them. And then, like I say, when you get a shot, you'll be able to leverage that and say, hey, everybody, I got a new movie coming out. Boom. And they'll follow you.
Yeah. No, that's brilliant advice. That's exactly right. Easier said than done, but definitely something to strive towards. And that's the way to look at it. Yeah, 100%. I've always had this idea, because in England there's a lot of pubs where you can host theatre. Like, they've got a little theatre space downstairs. So what a lot of people do, they put on shows. It's quite easy. Sometimes it's easy to put on a play, and just run it for like 2 nights. And charge a bit of money just to make your money back from it. Sometimes it's easier doing that than making this big short film or like a feature film with no money. So if you've got no money, sometimes it's easier to get started by just putting on a theatre piece, and by doing that, you're getting an audience, and you're practicing with your craft. You're learning how to tell a story by doing that. So things like this, it's like such a good way to just get yourself noticed, I think, and then use the internet, of course, to like promote yourself, publish your stuff. I think everyone should be on social media right now. That's probably one of the main things to do, actually. Maybe be on social media. I don't like being on social media, but I use it just because I know it's good to get attention. So yeah, that's why I use it. And yeah, I think that's the way the industry is going now. That's what you said, wasn't it, Jordan?
Yeah,
Like
essentially there's going to be the big massive companies, like production companies, are faltering right now, and they may cave in. So we have an opportunity. It's going to be a mess. This is my prediction. Again, I don't want to bring anybody down, but it's going to be a mess for a while it gets sorted out. If it does crumble, then the demand is always going to be there to be entertained. And we're going to have to sort out how to get our work directly to the audience instead of going through these traditional routes. I don't think those traditional routes are ever going to die, but they could become the next roller rink or drive-in theater, right? Which used to be a huge cultural thing, and then they just lost relevance. And with everybody so stressed about money and time right now, going to the theater, going to a movie theater even, is getting harder for people. So they're entertaining themselves more kind of on their phones, a couple of minutes here and there, or going out and taking in live theater, like you say, underneath a pub. That sounds awesome. I love that idea. So you're kind of catching them in their regular routine instead of asking them to break their routine and sit down and just direct their attention to you like they would if they had to go to a movie theater. So this is all going to get shaken out in the next 5 years or so. What the next stage is, just kind of get ready for it, and prove that you've got something that you can entertain people with. That's easy to get to start with, and then start demanding more and more money for it when you've got a nice, big, healthy audience behind you. I love the idea of putting on a show, or even a staged read, right? Where you don't have to have costumes, and full sets, and anything like that. It's basically just actors standing there, like an old radio play, reading it. If you're a really good storyteller, you can still elicit that emotional response out of people just with a read script. If you've got talented people reading it, of course. It can be a horror movie, it can be a drama, it can be a comedy, whatever it is. If it works on the page and you have capable people performing it to an audience, then they'll be entertained by it too. And that's when you start building your brand, and you're and telling people what you specialize in. It's essentially the first steps of building a brand and an audience that you can, leverage later on in your career.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So for everyone listening, like you're saying, like a radio play, if you've got there's so many actors out there who want to just be working on their craft. They haven't got a job and they're sitting around. And if you can find some actors who'd like to just sit and read your script and they can record it doing that, even that will be good, because also you can hear your words being spoken, being performed. You can hear the bad notes. You can learn what's good and what's not good. Because I think so many people write a screenplay and then they just sit on it and they don't do anything with it. And they're not really making real progress because they're not actually putting it out there and getting it made and getting people to hear it and having yourself to hear it. So for everyone listening, I think definitely, literally, even doing things like that where you're just doing table reads, even that would be so cool. That's giving me inspiration. I might be doing that too, actually. That's a really good idea. Yeah.
It's really awesome. Is it?
Yeah.
It's terrifying, of course, but it's also really awesome because when you write a clunker of a line, and the room is funny, dead quiet. It just dies right there. There's no coming back from that because you're getting immediate kind of reactions from your audience, which is the glory of live theater. But when it works, when you can really move people to tears, literally in an audience, or you can make them laugh out loud, that will become crack cocaine for you, and you will want to do more and more of that and get better and better at it. It's really, really addictive and fun. And it's like I say, it's super cheap. You can do it. It doesn't cost a lot of money to pull that off.
Oh, so true. So true. Yeah. If you can have a live audience listening and then you can hear their reactions, that's where you can really learn something. I wrote this when I was at uni. I joined the Theatre Society and I wrote a one-act play, and it was like a serious, like one-act story, but there was loads of laughing in there. And I wasn't expecting it to be funny. I didn't think it was going to be funny, but it was because the actors brought on another life, a whole nother way of performing the lines that I didn't even imagine them doing. But because they did that, it became funny and I really liked it. And I would not have learned that if I had never shown it, if I never made it into a play. If I had only written it, I wouldn't have learned that about my writing. So you learn so much from it.
You'll learn from the audience and you'll learn from your actors. If you trust them and listen to them, and you have an experienced actor come to you and say, listen, this is really clunky.
Yeah.
What if we changed it to this? Always take those notes. Always listen to that kind of thing. And another thing that you'll learn when you hear it performed is that most of us write with too much dialogue. Yes, there are exceptions out there like Tarantino that you kind of use dialogue almost like music, like a soundtrack, where he has his characters constantly talking. Aaron Sorkin's similar in that respect too, but for most of us, we write too much dialogue. It's just that simple, especially when we're new. And it'll become cumbersome and you'll feel it bogging down the performance. Like the story just won't be able to move forward because they're doing too much talking and they're using too many words to kind of communicate these very simple ideas that are behind what you want to communicate to the audience. And watching that happen will be an eye-opener for you too. I mean, it is scary, But watching your work die is a great experience because
Yeah.
you will never want it to happen again, and you're going to learn real fast about how to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the best way to learn. It's the best way to learn. By being humiliated on in front of people. That's the best way
Yeah.
to learn. Yeah.
We laugh about that all the time. Like if you take the scenario, we tell this story about the scenario of the little kid near the hot stove, and mom says, "Don't touch the stove; it's hot." It doesn't mean anything to the kid. The kid's got to put his hand on the stove and get burned, and then go, "Okay, now I get it. Now I'm not going to do that again."
Yeah.
So I encourage you to go and fall down and eat dirt and just create some awful stuff and get that feedback, because it actually does help you understand why it failed. That's really important. Just having people tell you what to do and what not to do is one thing, but understanding why not to do that ever again and why to do this other thing that was more effective, with live, real, in the moment feedback, there's no faster way to learn. The lights will come on like crazy.
Yeah. 100%. It's yeah, you learn so much from doing it. Yeah, 100%. Some comedy scenes don't rely on dialogue, but even when they are written, you don't really laugh. You just get the feeling that you could, if you could be watching live, you would laugh hard. Yeah, exactly. I do know what you mean by that. If you're watching live, you would laugh hard. Yeah, there's a difference when you watch something live. Yeah, no, it's interesting. I like talking about dialogue actually. What I do when I write my first draft, I usually do overwrite dialogue. But by writing, I let the characters talk. But by doing that, I then find out the snippet within that dialogue that I need for the scene. Then I cut everything else out. So then I rewrite it and I just cut loads out. So I don't know about you guys if you do the same, but when I first start writing, I'm not afraid of the dialogue. But then when I go back over it, I know, okay, I only need this little small part of it, and then the rest can be cut. So I think that's probably quite a cool way to do that, because yes, a lot of people do overwrite dialogue. I do agree with that. It can be quite boring. I think the people who are good at writing dialogue, I don't know if you guys agree with this, but they make it look easy. So when people watch it, they watch an Aaron Sorkin film or a Tarantino film. I can do that. Two people sat in a car talking about cheeseburgers. I can do that, but they don't quite understand the technicality about it, like how hard it really is to do it and what's going on beneath the lines. Like there's more to it, but it seems effortless when you're watching it because it's so good. And that's the trap a lot of people fall into, especially new writers. So yeah, I definitely have to remind myself that sometimes, because I write a lot of dialogue, but I know it's not always necessary to do that. Yeah. So yeah. So guys, I don't know if there was anything else we wanted to talk about. The other question I wanted to ask was, I schedule every week or every 2 weeks. I do like a group screenwriting discussion. So I pick a famous screenplay. So it could be Pulp Fiction, or it could be I don't know. So we've been through a few films, Parasite, and we do this every
Once Upon a Time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of different films.
Right now, The Holdovers, I heard as a great screenplay, The Holdovers, by Alexander Payne. May, December, American Fiction, new things that have been coming up, that they have been nominated in Oscars. They can be good choices. But it's important to make a schedule, because I would love to hear Jordan on this. I think it's a good thing because it makes us as screenwriters to read the screenplays. So these meetings could be work as a schedule to make us to read more screenplays. That at the end of the day, it's going to help us with the writing.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I agree. The more that you can spend time kind of examining the work of others, and it's like I always say, read the scripts that are, well, the greats for start. So you're picking out some very, very successful scripts. So there's going to be benefit for everybody, no matter what their interests are in looking at those scripts. And then personally read ones that are similar to what you want to write, so that you can watch other people solve the problems that you're going to have to solve and see how they did it. You'll pick up quite a bit like that, because pagecraft, like screenwriting, screenplay formatting, is a really painfully boring subject to kind of learn if you kind of do it through books. I attempted to teach it for years, and you could just watch the lights go out in people's eyes when you start talking about that stuff. It's really boring. It's like talking mathematics to artists. But you have to know it. You have to learn it. And the best way to do it is just to watch how other people have done it and to learn from that. Oh, that's interesting. Why did he format his telephone conversation this way? Because there's 100 ways to do a telephone conversation. What was he thinking there? What was most important about that scene? And what's most important about mine? And what, all these questions. And having other people chime in and talk about it in a roundtable is really, really great. So the greats are good. And then some of the more unusual ones out there are really good to examine as well, just to get a deeper understanding of it. Like Oppenheimer is a very odd script, really, really unusual script. And it's worth having a look at too. I think it's 190 pages or something like that.
Yeah,
So
it's been written
Wow.
by the first person.
yeah,
Yeah.
parts of it are.
Yeah.
And parts of it are, depending on what period of time, it's italicized. Like he's been in all kinds of crazy roles in there to try to communicate what his vision for that movie was. And you and I would get burnt at the stake if we tried to write a script in that style and then submit it because we're nobodies. But you can learn a great deal about the vision of the writer and about how the choices they make about communicating what their vision for it is. And he's a writer filmmaker, so he's a different animal. But I still think there's a great deal to learn from that, and to learn from scripts like The Thing, which has also got some really weird formatting stuff in it, which I love. I wish that Bill Lancaster was alive because I want to talk to him about the choices that he made in the formatting of that script. Again, if we were to write exactly like that, a lot of us would get thrown out of the room. But I think there's some really important stuff to learn from scripts like that. And The Quiet Place had some really crazy, bold, innovative page draft choices too, like one word in the center of the page on one of those during the countdown sequence. I can't remember how it was exactly. But the font went from being small to bigger and fewer words on the page until it was a page with just one word in the center of it. It's all about trying to force your reader to experience what you want them to experience when they're watching the film. So reading through A Quiet Place really did kind of make you feel the tension that the film was able to capture later on. And as crazy as those choices were, it got them noticed. It got that script, read and circulating around through Hollywood, and it got it picked up. So there's this really impossible kind of challenge that we have, like how bold can you get? And if you get really, really bold and ballsy with it, will it earn you attention or will it get you thrown out of the room? Like you never really know which way it's going to go. But so read everything, see what everybody else has tried, examine the things that have worked, and then go home and think, okay, what can I do? What can I do to make noise, stand out from the crowd? And what can I do to really make my story absolutely jump off the page and grab them by the throat? And at that point, I think everything is fair game, because ultimately it can't just be the job of your script to get you work. It's got to be that relationship between you and the gatekeeper or whomever else it is that you're sharing it with. So if you just submit blindly, then the script's going to do all the work. And if it's not perfect in the eyes of the reader, by the way, there is no such thing as perfect, but just perfect in the eyes of that one person reading it, well, then you're probably not going to get picked up or even read. But if you can get a dialogue going with somebody and they can ask, what the hell were you thinking when you did this over here? And it can be a little more an organic conversation. So it's about you and your voice instead of just the script. That's always better. That's harder to get to. Again, you've got to kind of find a way in through the side door, so to speak, in the industry and make connections with and build relationships with people. But again, working writers like Todd, I could speak to this, right? It's almost impossible to get noticed if you just send your script out. You've got to get to the point where you're talking to people. And whether we like it or not, if you're a writer, you're actually in the business of sales.
Yeah.
Most artist writers hate that, but you're a salesman and what you're selling is you. So get your head around that. And it went back to that conversation about building your own audience. Same thing. You're selling you and the experience that you can generate for those audiences. So get used to the idea of you being a brand and get used to the idea of you talking about what it is that you do and why you're special and why nobody can write stories the way that you do and you're not replaceable. all of these kinds of things. Just start sorting it out. It doesn't happen in one day and in one conversation, but get used to that kind of idea.
Yeah, I just wanted to expand on what Jordan is saying because he's 100% right. Definitely, I wasn't really big on branding before, and only recently did I realize how important that is. So creating your brand is important, and identifying what you write and how you write, and the type of stuff. Your brand should speak, for your work. Like, for instance, my brand is Epic Nightmares. That's the type of stuff that I write. So, like, most people hear it and they go, okay, now I get it. So that's important, and definitely it's networking, which is, I'm horrible at it. And selling yourself is definitely important. You got to be a salesman for sure, and I've had to learn that the hard way. But all the things that I've ever done were because of people that I know, people that have recommended me or I've worked with before, and then they call me back later, say, hey, I remember you. Would you be interested in doing this? So relationships are so important. And as Jordan was saying, the industry right now, it's brutal. But that doesn't mean that things aren't getting made and things are selling, because they are. But this is the time to really work on yourself and be prepared for when things come back. And what everybody's saying is survive till 25. So most people in the industry are, writing off this year because it's so bad, the contraction and just the cutbacks. But hopefully when next year rolls around, things will pick up again. But you just got to be ready. So you should not be discouraged. You should actually be encouraged to keep writing. So when the opportunities come up, you're ready. Just as Jordan was saying. Yeah. So yes, I agree 100% with that.
Yeah, well said. And to add to what Todd's saying, let's keep our tennis match going, Todd. So Todd declared that he's a bad salesman. It's probably not the case. He's probably got stuff figured out. But when we all start, we're all bad, right? And you're not used to selling yourself and developing those relationships. And the ones that worked for him were people that he knew better, like perhaps friends of his who were also in the industry that he's adjacent to, and they helped usher him. They kind of shepherded him in. And I want you to think about those early relationships that come easy because you're friends with those people already or in short order. That's the relationship that you want to build. So don't think about these people being like up on some pedestal and they're like living in a faraway land or on another planet or something like that. Whomever you come across, you want to treat them like they are your friend already. Because if you go in all weird and stressed out and sweating bullets, obviously you're not gonna perform at your best. Get your head around the fact that most of these people are just people. And if you can help them solve their problems, which is what movie are we going to make next and how can we make the most money, right? Help them do their job, then you're going to be the kind of person that they talk to and call back, right? Because when you do it and it works, then they're going to call you back because nobody's got time to hunt down yet another person from scratch. It looks lazy, but there's a real good justification for why everybody's got their Rolodex of people they can count on, and they keep calling those people. So Todd's now on that Rolodex, and he's going to keep getting called because he's never let them down. He puts out fires. He doesn't make fires, that kind of thing. If you're not an arrogant jerk, and you just know how to talk to people really comfortably, then you'll make your way into those positions, and more people will kind of get to talk to you. You'll build more and more relationships, and your Rolodex is just going to keep getting fatter. Anyway, that's how to do it. But don't think of them as like some kind of like bank manager and you got to go in and some kind of real stuffy conversation, and just have your business plan all laid out perfectly. They can smell that coming a mile away. They're not interested in that either. They're looking for another partner that they can collaborate with. And even if they are kind of a heavyweight within the industry, don't get weirded out when you talk to them. Just think about that. If you're comfortable with them when you talk to them, they'll pick up on that. If you're uncomfortable with them when you talk to them, they're definitely going to pick up on that, and they don't want anything to do with it. They're not going to have any confidence in you if you don't have confidence in yourself. I guess that's the summary of my 3-minute monologue there. So just start getting your heads around this. Again, it's not going to happen in once. You're probably going to eat dirt a couple times, and most cases, people are going to ignore you or close the door on you most of the time because they're busy. It didn't happen. The connection wasn't there, whatever. You didn't articulate yourself well enough. Just get used to that and know that every failure is a step towards success. That's it. It's part of the process. You can't avoid failure. And in fact, it's an important part of your evolution. You learn every time. The only time you ever fail is where you stop moving forward.
Mm.
and you don't learn your lesson. You don't adapt and evolve. So look forward to these opportunities to burn and crash and just make a mess of things, because you're going to learn from it and get better from it.
Yeah.
That's how I got to it. I got in with a friend, and I got in through the live theater first. I had a reputation for being an actor, and people called me. I didn't even know a film shoot was going on in my hometown. I got a call, come on out, we're looking for actors. And from that first movie, I went from being an actor to a location scout to a set decorator to then they gave me the art director title, and then I got production designer, and then I became a producer. And that was a 3-month arc. I've now worked with that same group of people like a dozen times, because I put out fires. Like, I just solved problems for them. And now I get a call every time they're making a movie. They call me, do you want to be involved? Yes, no, it's up to me now. And that's how you do it. Just make sure you're valuable and you solve problems, because good God, making movies is hard. It's everything always goes wrong, especially down at the lower levels where you get your chance to do your early work, right? Everybody's wearing 10 hats. If you can take some of the pressure off of them and make things work, man, you're going to get the call back, and they're going to look forward to working with you the next time. And that's the secret, in my opinion.
Such good advice. Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Jordan and Todd, for saying that. Yeah.
Thank you. That was really good advice. Jordan, Todd, did you, like, for example, say, going working on X, like, into their LinkedIn, they would like come like under this category that you guys talking, like making an account, talking to people, just like comment on them, like anything, like that would consider as some kind of a make a connection.
It's easier to get the ball rolling if you're meeting people face to face, but you can do it on social media too. Just my advice for that is to never demand anything from the other party. You can ask them questions about their work, and that's probably the best way, because everybody likes talking about what they do. You know, like, hey, I saw your movie. This one scene was really fascinating. Why did you make that choice? Like, why did you choose to do this? Or what were you thinking here? Maybe they'll come around and answer that question. Because again, don't ever make the mistake that you're the only person asking for their attention, because there's 1,000 people asking for their attention. They get people asking them all the time, and half of them are saying, read my screenplay. And that's the best way to get yourself canceled and just have doors locked behind you on the way out. They're just going to run you out of town. Nobody wants to hear that question. Don't ask anybody ever, will you read my screenplay? You kind of work your way in through these harmless, low pressure, hey, tell me about this. And if they have a minute, they might take an interest in it because they're proud of that moment, and they can see that you're young and are interested in learning, and they'll share something with you. You know, 90% of them won't. They're too busy. Some of them are jerks and a-holes, and you don't want to deal with them anyway, and they'll just ignore you. That's good. The ones that do reach out, keep the conversation going. Don't be a badger about it. Don't be a stalker about it. You know, like, let it cool off and then come back a little later and say, I watched your other movie and I saw that you did a thing over there that's kind of similar. Is this the theme that you're doing? Whatever the question is, it's about them. And if they do actually take a liking to you, then everybody is eventually going to come around to asking you the same question. I bet you Todd will nod about this too. And that question is, what are you working on? Everybody does, but only after they like you and they feel like there's somebody they can trust, you know, because you're not asking them for stuff all the time. You're not trying to take a piece of them with you. So eventually it'll come around to what you're working on. Oh, hey, well, thanks for asking. I happen to be working on this cool piece. You know, I hope to do something with it, blah, blah, blah. And again, don't ask for them to read it. Just put it out there. And when they're interested, or if they've got any advice for you, or, you know, at the very least, the first question should be something really broad and not about them. Hey, you know, I'm kind of starting out. I've had a couple of things catch fire, but nothing's really kind of consistent. Any advice? Any advice for me on who I might talk to, or where you think this might find a home? You know, that kind of thing. Real easy. And it's not about them solving the problem for you. It's just like, what can you share with me that might be useful? That's low pressure. And most people are pretty comfortable with that kind of thing. But until you are like showing up at each other's wedding, don't ask them to read your screenplay. Don't ask them for anything at all. It's too much. Never forget, 1,000 other people are demanding their attention and asking them to do stuff. Don't be one of them. Be real easy to talk to. Be fun to talk to. You know, that's my advice.
But Jordan, that is amazing advice. But what for people like me? Like I don't have that physical access. And if I want to have that access, it's gonna cost me a lot of money. And of course, there is embassy and all that stuff that is happening. What is advice for
Yeah, I get
that?
it. I get it. So you're online. You're going to probably do it remotely online. So get on X, get on LinkedIn, maybe buy a month of IMDb Pro so you can get some contact information for people, or at least their agents and that kind of stuff. Going through agents is kind of messy because agents don't have any time for you, but you might find some interesting addresses of where some of these production companies are. If you want to talk to production companies, then IMDb Pro is great. If you want to talk to people, see if they're on social. Find them on social and then send them a big question like that and see what happens. Again, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and you're never going to force it. So
No,
don't
actually, Jordan, it is working. I've been starting like it's been like 3 months or something. I'm connecting with like screenwriters, and I'm finding out that as time goes by, I've been followed by some people, but like nothing big happened yet. But like I'm seeing, because like for example, they have a picture from the dog, and I'm like, oh, so cute. And like next time they're gonna know my name and they're gonna call me by my name. So
Yep, that's how it works. So I love hearing that's already having some effect.
it'll take time, but Jordan, to that
tiny
level of, for example, okay, let's collaborate on something. Okay, what you're doing, let's do something. I think it's gonna take a lot of time by this way.
Yep.
But that's the only way.
It takes years to establish relationships. But I'm just wondering what you guys think of places like Roadmap Writers, Stage 32, like those kinds of places that do offer, access to executives. You got to pay for it, of course. But I'm just curious what you guys think of those kinds of platforms.
Yeah, they directed me actually.
Okay.
Actually, they directed me on X, and they said like, come to Station 3. It's like Twitter, but for screenwriters. I didn't have time to check it out actually. I never hear anything about them on Twitter because like I'm mostly active on Twitter and LinkedIn. I'm mostly following writers. But Todd, actually, you said that I never heard. I heard Roadmap that it has a screenwriting competition and some kind of a lab program or something. But otherwise, no, nothing.
I tend to find that it's pretty transactional. Some people have got, I would put it in the same category as the big kind of contests, right? The 1% make it work. And you can learn some things along the way that are really, really valuable, but counting on it is probably going to break your heart. Like you might get lucky, test it out, try some stuff. And it really comes down to the people that you get connected with, because depending on which of these, those kind of groups you're dealing with, they can have people rotate in and out a lot. So it's not like you can really predict who you'll be connected with. They want you to succeed because obviously they're going to get a piece of it. There's something in it for them. And I don't say that to sound like a jerk or be suspicious, but that's what I mean when I say it's transactional. So if it can't benefit them, then it's probably not going to happen. So maybe you can get something great out of that, but taking control of your own destiny, as hard and as long and slow as that process is probably the best way to guarantee results, because if you can't do it on your own, then that might suggest that you're not ready for it anyway.
Yeah.
If you do great work
on your own, you mean like that content that you just told us,
build
like,
your own audience, build it up, and then hey, if your audience gets big enough, they might come looking for you, right? Just like they do when they're looking for IP, like books to license and stuff. But do it for yourself whenever you possibly can, and don't count on anybody else to do it, because if you wait for somebody else to save you, it's not going to happen. I like to say the cavalry's not coming, man. It's up to you. You really do have to make your own way, especially right now. And Todd's right. Be ready for whatever happens next. Do your own thing in your own contained world. Build your skills, build your audience. keep your eyes, peer over the wall every once in a while at what's going on in the industry and be ready. Because something will go by. Eventually, something will go by. But if you've got a big enough audience, they may come looking for you, which would be awesome. That has happened as well.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah. So basically, it's kind of like, yeah, you can't rely on other things to give you your break. You kind of have to keep putting yourself out there, doing things for yourself. Yeah, don't be sitting around waiting. Like you kind of have to go and do it yourself, and then be ready when someone asks you. What you said, Jordan, about when someone eventually asks you the question, "So what are you working on?" You better be ready to answer that. You gotta have something ready there for that.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's
log lines are critical. You can't log lines and summaries and stuff like that. They're frustrating. I get it, but they're critical. I'm studying log lines right now with a bunch of other kind of screenwriting mentors and that type of stuff. And the more I hear other people talk about it, the more I appreciate and understand how important they are. So within groups like this, just being able to get in front of, like, we could gather like this and then pitch our log lines and get feedback from everybody.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm thinking of working on next. What do you guys think? And you'll see the lights will come on or they won't. Yeah. If you write something really, really interesting, then however big or small the group is, people will go, oh, hey, that sounds cool. Test that stuff out and get used to articulating your ideas, talking about your ideas, being effective at getting other people kind of excited about what it is that you see and want to try to achieve. That's part of the trick. And when you get into those conversations later on, you're going to have the vocabulary, you're going to have the jargon all worked out. And you're going to be able to constantly say, when they ask you, what are you working on? Oh, hey, it's this, this, and this. And here's why you want to hear my log line? But here it is. Or in fact, don't even say you want to hear it. If they ask you what you're working on, you're going to say, I'm working on this thing, and here's how I describe it, ... And then shut up. Just shut up and wait for the feedback to come one way or the other. If the conversation moves on without them saying anything, so be it. But they might say, oh, hey, that sounds cool. What's your plans for it? And then you're on to the next stage.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. So maybe, Jordan, maybe at some point, if we're lucky enough, we can do a workshop with you on log lines at some points. That'd be really cool, maybe.
Sure. Sure, sounds fun. Yeah. I'm building a whole new. I'm basically going to fold up my old website, which is just gathering dust right now, and I'm building a new thing on Mighty Networks. So you chose School. Brooks, my other kind of collaborator, chose Circle, and nice. I'm going over to Mighty because I think it's, anyway, everybody's got their favorites. So I'm completely bringing over all 70 kind of lesson plans and everything like that I used to teach in university, and I'm right now writing out the logline stuff. And when I get that done, then sure, because I'd like to be able to make it as valuable for everybody that comes around as possible. And I'd like to work out a couple more things, and then maybe we can play around with it. So yeah, if you're willing, I love being able to use your school space as kind of a test bed for some of the things that I do in my work. That'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant. We find that really valuable. Thank you so much. And so I think so. Are you saying you and Brooks are going to do your own kind of community and circles? Is that what you guys are working on? Yeah.
The framework's up. We've got, I think, 50 or 60 people inside that we just kind of handpicked first to shake it out. And I'm going to build my own on Mighty. And the 3 primary contributors to that space each have their own space as well. And we're coming in kind of as specialists. So I'm working on craft. He's working on mindset and career trajectory. And then the third guy is a habits specialist. He's really, really cool. His name is Brock Swinson. He wrote a book called Ink by the Barrel, and it's just about putting in the time, and developing the kind of routines and discipline that you need to succeed as well. So each of us kind of have our own little specialties, and we're trying to make our own little community over there too.
That sounds great.
Brooks is in charge of the front door on that, and he's choosing who comes in because it's invite only, and they're being very careful about who comes in. And those guys are specifically interested in the people that are just about to transition from like amateur to pro, and then from pro up to regular working pro. So they're not as interested in working with new and emerging skill people, which I have a right with and I love. So I'm happy to be here. I feel like I learn a lot when I interact with people who are kind of new to the space and are seeing it with fresh eyes. So kind of like a vampire, I want to bleed them of their fresh perspective and keep myself fresh as well by doing that. So I'm happy to kind of crash around and play with these things with you folks in your community. I think it's great. I think what you've got here in school is really, really good.
Yeah, no, thank you so much.
Thank you.
No, it's
Thank
great.
you.
I think what you've just described, what you guys are doing, I
Really
think
good
that's
as
going to be. I think the future is communities, and then like so your services, but within community spaces, so you can all connect with each other as well. And a good community is about the quality of members, not about the quantity. So invite only, cherry picking the right people is key for a good community. So I think it sounds really good what you guys are doing. For
And
the right,
Julian,
yeah, it's like
Julian,
talking
have
like what you were saying.
some scholar from Middle Easterns, please.
What was that? Sorry, I missed it.
Have some scholars for the Middle Easterns, the people who are Middle
Oh yeah,
East.
yeah.
Yeah.
Scholarships. Oh, scholarships. I wish. If I could figure out how to make scholarships work for anybody anywhere in the world, I'd love to do it. Unfortunately, I have to make a living.
Yeah, the reality. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, awesome.
But I do appreciate being connected with, I really genuinely appreciate being connected with people from different regions of the world. That perspective is really valuable to me too. So I thank everybody who's not from North America that's in this conversation. Lots to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's great. It's so great we can all connect from different parts of the world. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for this call. I think this has been really, really good. And yeah, I think there's lots to take from it. And the last thing that I want to make about, because it's been recorded for everyone watching, so we're going to continue doing our group screenplay discussions. But based on what we're saying, maybe we'll pick from different genres, so we can have a variety of different genres, to cover for everyone who's writing different genres can get something out of it. And also maybe read some bad screenplays. Veronica, I've read The Room in school, which is a terrible film. I don't know if you guys have seen The Room. That's brilliant. It's so funny. It's so bad. But that could be a great screenplay to learn from because of how bad it is. That's another thing you can do. Don't just read the good plays, read the bad ones, because you can learn why it's not working. So I think that'll be the plan then for the future. So for everyone watching, go on.
I hope you have check-ins like this also once in a while.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Actually, that's a good. Because Todd, I really like your post last time. I made a post the WriteAct reports, and people can check in on their progress. You were like responding to that. So maybe when I do that, I can also maybe schedule a call like this every now and then as well.
Accountability, yes, definitely.
Yeah.
And it helps motivate everybody. Like we gotta support each other. And I know some people are struggling to get some writing done, and you should be able to lean on us and everybody else for extra motivation.
Yeah.
100%. I 100% get behind that. I've got a phrase I was taught long ago, and it goes, "Writer's block is nothing more than isolation."
Wow.
Yes.
Talk to people, connect with people. They'll loosen the blocks. That'll get you moving again if you just share your work. Anybody that thinks that they have to protect their work and keep it from being stolen or whatever, and they're being really precious about it, I encourage you to kind of drop that and be a lot more open with your community or your friends, whatever it might be, and let people kind of look at your work. Again, talk about your work. You'll keep rolling. If you connect with people, you'll keep rolling.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. So maybe every couple of weeks we'll schedule one of these calls, and then every other week we'll do the group screenplay discussions. Maybe something like that. Yes, I'll look into that. But that's a great point, Todd. Thank you for that.
When do you do those screenplay things? Because I think they happen at like 3:00 in the morning, my time, or something like that.
Yeah, so we keep playing around with the time zones. We've just changed it for it to be at 3 p.m. my time, so whatever time this call started.
Like this time. Is this time working for you, Jordan?
Yeah, obviously. I'm here. It works.
Yeah, he can make
it.
Yeah,
I'm still from the window that there's sunshine, so it's a day.
It's bright, but it's raining like hell right at the moment. But yeah.
Yeah, same for me. Raining.
Where's Todd from? I can't remember where Todd's located.
I'm in Los Angeles.
There you go. So there's the extreme of that continent. Although I do have some people who live in our group. We have people in Hawaii and in England. That's tough. Like,
I'm originally from Hawaii.
there you go. Yeah. So, but LA,
Wow.
I'm used to LA quite a bit. That's where Brooks is like out of. So yeah, this time works great for me. But don't plan around me in particular. I just might like to sit in on one.
Yeah, no pressure at all. Absolutely. So yeah, I think maybe on a weekend at some time, maybe 3 p.m. or something. But I'll ask other people in the group and see what they say, and then I'll schedule that in. So yeah, no, brilliant. This call's been great. Thank you guys so much. It's been great to see you all.
So,
Thanks for
we're gonna
coming.
have,
Great to see everybody. Thank you.
screenwriting for the next week, Ollie.
Oh, say that again. Sorry.
The screenwriting for the next week, right? The date would be right on Sundays.
Yeah, I think maybe next Sunday. Although,
Okay.
yeah, I'll double check and get back to you because once I start, I want to be consistent with it. So I want to like make sure that I've got clear space for that. But yeah, I'll let you guys know when it is. Yeah. Okay.
I haven't seen it, but if you want another really, really awful one that's on the same par as The Room, look for any of the Birdemic movies.
Oh, yes, I've not seen the whole film, but I've seen clips. But I'll write that down.
Or anything by the production company known as Asylum.
Okay.
Asylum, yes.
It amazes me
Guys.
that there might be
Oh my
rumors that
God,
they still make the
1.7.
screen.
Sorry, say that again, Todd. What was that? John. So was that John?
Saying even though they're bad, it's still impressive that they managed to get on the screen. I watched a film called Blackburn. I don't know if it's a B movie and it's terrible. The costume and everything is terrible, but you think they still made it. And look at all the films that poor Nicolas Cage has done. Low budget. You think, wow.
Yeah.
They're not all
That's why I
bad.
encourage people to drop good and bad. Don't talk about your scripts in terms of them being good or bad because it's irrelevant. Clearly, bad movies are getting made all the time. So all that's important in my mind is to be
Yeah.
effective. Like
I've got
Sharknado-
one good film,
Yes, absolutely.
Jurassic
No,
Park.
But
There's effective.
I don't
It's great.
understand if it's a bad screenplay, if it's a bad story, how did it get made? I mean, like,
That's the point.
It was effective at one layer or another at getting somebody interested. So knowing who you're pitching to and who you're dealing with is really, really important. But sometimes the very point is to make a bad movie like Sharknado that went on to be what, 6 or 7 movie series now?
Yeah.
You know, like sometimes the Hallmark movies, you could arguably say they're all bad, but they've got a massive, massive audience. So it's irrelevant trying to talk about them as being good or bad. They're just effective at what they're trying to do. That's way more important because you can't control whether or not somebody thinks your work is good or bad, but you can control whether or not it's effective at eliciting that kind of response. That you can work on.
Is it also possible it might read good on paper, but putting it to visual, it could feel?
Well, that's not your worry. If you sell your script and get it sold, you won. Walk away and don't even think about what happens to it after that. You won the day. Enjoy your money. Go write your next script.
That's what Stephen King says about his films. He goes, I've got nothing to do with it. So if I go, it's bad, it doesn't come back on me.
Don't treat it like it's a precious thing because not many of us get to follow right through to fruition. And sometimes a really great script turns into a really bad movie. It's just the nature of things. But yeah, so your finish line is getting paid.
Yeah.
Then move on to the next race. That's it.
Yeah, don't be too precious about it once it's been taken away from you. It's their problem now, isn't it? Once you've sold it. Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's what Stephen King said about The Shining.
The Shining? Yeah, The Shining.
Wasn't too keen on it.
He wasn't satisfied with the story. He said that it was terrible. The story side of the movie.
It's a great film.
That's a fascinating story, though, because Kubrick had no interest in his story. Kubrick, if you really get into it, Kubrick was looking for a coat of paint to put on his project, and he chose The Shining to kind of be the overarching kind of shape of what he did. But 90% of that project had nothing to do with The Shining. It was Kubrick just kind of flexing his muscles about subtextual storytelling.
Yeah.
That's what frustrates Stephen King, is that his masterwork, so to speak, was kind of just used as an extra element. It wasn't the focus of the filmmaker. And I love listening to those two guys rage at one another over that project because it's really, really fascinating. But yeah,
Hmm.
Kubrick is another weird animal that you could talk about all day long. But he was just looking for a vehicle to kind of work on his skills
Mhm.
as a visual storyteller. And
Yeah.
so it's a masterwork, but not because of The Shining. And that's
Yeah.
what Steve,
Right.
Yeah, it's master because of
And then-
directing, right? Because of the visuals, because of the how he
Yeah.
made all the horrific pictures.
he's messing with your head and every frame. Every frame. I'm sure you've seen the documentaries, right? Where stuff in the background appears and disappears between the cuts, and the physical layout of the space is impossible. It can't happen from one angle on the hallway. They go indoors on one side, and when they turn to do the reverse, they come out of doors on the other side. Like, he's messing with you the whole time. It's awesome, but it drives Stephen King crazy.
And then the Shining miniseries that King actually wrote the teleplay for is awful. I mean,
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
He's not a
Yeah.
filmmaker. No.
brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, the Shining
Beautiful
book is
novels.
brilliant, but that miniseries was just
Yeah.
No.
terrible.
didn't he play the bartender, Stephen King, in that?
I don't remember. Maybe because he does do cameos in,
Mhm.
in his films too, in those films too. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember. I didn't watch it because it is pretty bad. But yeah, he's a writer. Kubrick was the filmmaker. They created two completely, almost unrelated, products. And the arguments over those things will never end, and I love it.
It's never going to be settled.
It's like
I need. Yeah, go on.
It's like the David Lynch one, the Twin Peaks. I had a look on YouTube to find out the hidden meaning behind it all, and it was basically a TV show that was the characters were aware they were on a TV show. I can't remember the word for it, but he came out with this word, and I thought that's fantastic. Self-aware.
Self-aware,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's another guy that's clearly got a really strong and unique voice, right? So when you see his work, you know it's his stuff, and that's the kind of thing you want to work towards. You want to be writing stuff, creating material that's so unique to you that, again, you can't be replaced.
Mhm.
That's kind of a goal to shoot for.
But you can't really do that when you're first starting out. When you're first starting out, you have to learn the rules. You kind of have to not be too out there, would you say?
For sure.
Yeah.
You're going to be referencing other works. It's going to be a little derivative. It's going to be a little predictable, but you're going to find your way eventually. So steal and borrow all you can early on, and you'll get bored of that, and then you'll start to innovate after that. That's the natural progression of things. But you can't rush it. Just be yourself.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. No, brilliant. Okay, thank you guys so much. It's been such a good call. Yeah, I probably should head off now, but yeah, thank you guys so much for joining. It's been lovely to meet you all, to see you all again. And yeah, we'll do this again soon. Absolutely. I'll let you guys know, and we'll do another one like this.
No problem.
You guys take care.
Great.
Yeah, take care,
Thank you.
guys.
Cheers.
All the best.
Bye, everyone.